are a bit late joining in here, but it is time to start. So
proud to be here.
Get comfortable. Yoo-hoo. So let yourself sit comfortably and grab blankets if you want. Oh, we do need a strap today, so if you're at home, they're all clean. I washed all of the straps actually yesterday, so the ones hanging on the shelves here are clean. And at home too, grab a strap if you have one. So if those two come in, we've got a good spot here, and then maybe right there closer to this stool, and that way they'll be away from you too, guys, okay? So if they come. So of course there's the door. So sit comfortably. Hello. And be mindful of, as you close your eyes, it's a good spot here, or you can be behind the stool if you want, or you can be right here. There you go. And I bet that's Randy that I just heard the door, right? So actually, if you can, Arena, move up a little bit. Move this way a little bit, and that will give her right there. You're here. You're right here. There you go.
Someone just upsets the apple cart.
That's okay.
Somebody.
Okay. Yesterday I had. You can actually be like kind of.
Yeah.
Are you okay? Okay.
I'm little. My arms are short.
Yesterday I had 14 people in here. So, if we're gonna have this much trouble setting up, I'll do it for you guys too. I put the mats out before they get here, and that way I have them all spaced really easily. Yeah, that's good. So I can do that again. We just don't even often have 10 in here, so but there's a lot more room than you think there is once you get settled into it, because you can come way up here and yeah. So sit comfortably, let your eyes close, shift around a little bit if you need to find your sitting bones feeling equal, reaching down. And the top of your head reaching up. And then see if you can take your hands and turn your palms up and just cup your hands and have one hand on top of the other, just really gently and easily. But also as you do that, think of widening across your chest and lengthening up through the top of your head. And then just watch your breath coming in and going out through your nose. Receive the breaths into those three parts, inhaling into the belly and into the ribs and all the way up into your chest. And then very easily just switch the hand that's on top. Let your other hand come on top. Again, find that wideness across your chest, that length up through the top of your head. And then nice full deep breaths again. Into the belly, the ribs, all the way up into your chest. And on your next exhale, let the chin come on forward, down towards your chest. So you just tilt your head forward, let the head come as far as feels good for you. And then rise your head on up, and let's tilt our head to the right ear towards your right shoulder. See if you can just release your left shoulder down. And then come on back up and over the top and go to the other side. Just let yourself tilt easily. And then we'll rise on back up with the head and let our arms come on out beside us here. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands right down together in front of our hearts. Lift your elbows up a little bit. Feel your hands pressing a little more together so you feel your wrists a little bit. And then separate your hands, but let just the tips of your middle fingers touch. So your palms face down. And then start to send the backs of your hands gently towards each other. So your fingertips are down. And we're going to circle our hands, but keep them together so that you're making wrist circles, really, and you're letting yourself just keep gently connected with your hands as you circle them in one direction. And when you're ready to reverse those circles, you stop wherever you want and then just go the other direction. So take your time, let it feel really good to feel the wrists. Let your shoulders soften down. Good, and then finish off with your hands back at center into your chest. And let's inhale the hands right on up through the midline. And on the exhale, let the hands come right down again to be in front of your chest. So we're keeping our hands together and inhaling them up the midline and exhaling them back down. And then one more time, letting your hands inhale up through the midline. And now lower your left arm down. We're going to come into side stretch through the right side. So bring yourself over into that side stretch and really take time to appreciate your breath expanding the ribs on that right side. And now turn to look at the floor and let your right arm come down, maybe even like by your ear, maybe even lower. That depends on you and your shoulder. And then when you inhale, open back into that side stretch again. And we're going to rise back up. Let your belly help you. We're going to switch arms, lower the right arm down, left arm up. And we're going to again come over into that side stretch, breathing into the left side here. Just be mindful of how the ribs move when you breathe. And on your next exhale again, turn to look down towards the ground. And if you can lower your arm down, maybe by your ear, you may even want to bring the hand all the way to the floor. And then when you inhale, open back again into that side stretch. We're going to rise on back up to the top again, fingertips onto the floor beside us. Let's inhale both arms all the way out and up. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And we're going to switch the cross of our legs. So if you need to stretch your legs out for a second in between sides, do. Take your time. Move around a little bit. And then we're going to bring the other leg in front from where we were. And from here, let's go ahead and just circle easily with our torsos. Let your breath help you. So let your exhales bring you forward. And your inhales bring you back. Let it feel really good. We're going to reverse, so you stop where you choose and come off in the other direction. Just enjoy moving the body here with the breath. And finish back where you're forward into a seated forward bend. You can stay up as high as you want. Let your fingertips stay on the floor, stay up. You can keep continuing farther forward. But just remember, think of coming forward from your low back, and then, if it feels very good at the end, to go ahead and allow yourself to round a little bit, do. But think of that initial coming forward from the low back. And just be mindful. Feel your hips, your back. Good. So one more breath. We're going to slowly make our way all the way on back up. And from here, let your arms come on out beside you. Take a nice inhale. And let's twist to the left as we come on around with our right hand to our left knee, or maybe to the midline, that's up to you. Just enjoy. Lengthen up, feel your right sit bone drawing down towards the ground so your hips stay square. Inhale here, and on the exhale, we'll come on around all the way into the other direction. So waking up the spine, feeling that engagement of the low belly, the sitting bones drawing down. And one more inhale. And let your exhale bring you on back around again. And let's stretch our legs out again. Take your time. Be mindful here. And then just widen your feet a little bit, not a lot, just enough to when you come forward, you feel your hamstrings, your inner thighs a little bit. Imagine your knees and toes are facing up, so you're really kind of pinning your inner thighs and your outer thighs down towards the ground. And just come a little bit forward. You can go as far as you want, depends on how you feel this morning. If you can, let your hands come to give you a little support and shift your torso a little bit side to side too. But be mindful, don't be too fast about it. Let it feel just good and feel a little bit more the side you're moving to with your torso on that hamstring, and feel your hips. Should feel good. Good. And then we'll make our way back to center. We're going to come on up and bring our legs on forward. We're going to come around towards our hands and knees now. So take your time. Let yourself get your hands right underneath your shoulders and your knees or your feet right under your hips. And be mindful. See if you can curl your toes under for a second and shift your hips back just a little bit if you're on your hands and knees like this. So you just want to feel the bottoms of the feet opening up a little bit. And then come on back and let the tops of the toes come onto the floor. If your wrists feel iffy and you need to come to fists, do it, or grab some support under your hands. And then let's go ahead and easily flow through our backs. Now, how easy it is for you, of course, depends on how your back feels. So how fast you go, or slow you go, or how much you move into a cat or cow is totally up to you and how you feel in your back today. So, as we all know, every day can feel quite differently, so just ease your way. Instead of forcing your way, let yourself kind of find what you need to do for the day. So if you need to come to more neutral spine, instead of making all your way all the way into cat or cow, do. Finish off the one you're on. We'll come on to more neutral spine. And we're going to bring our right forearm down and let it be about parallel to the front edge of our mat, and stretch our left arm overhead, and go ahead and relax your forehead onto your arm into a quarter down dog. Spread your fingers of both hands, press gently down into your left hand and into your right forearm. And imagine your heart is just melting down towards the floor. One more breath. And then bring your left hand back so you can press up to switch arms. So again, left forearm's about parallel to the front edge. Right arm reaches forward. Head comes down. Spread the fingers, press into that right hand, hug your elbow in a little bit of that right arm there, and press a little bit into that left forearm, and then think about your chest melting down. Good, one more breath. And then bring your right hand back. We're going to come on up. And then from here, let's go ahead and curl our toes under and come into a downward facing dog pose. And walk a little bit. Once you start to adjust into your dog, do what you need to. And check your hands out. If you need to readjust your hands, do. If you want to wag your tail around a little bit, do. Walk your dog. Feel those elbows softly hugging in. Enjoy finding that length of the spine. And it's fine to bend both your knees.
to really establish that length of your spine in your down dog. Good, one more breath. And we're going ahead and bring our knees down. We're going to step our left foot forward and find a lunge, so you know you're welcome to grab your blocks if you like. Your blocks underneath your hands, lifting that right knee up. And coming into your first lunge here. So draw your shoulders down. Let yourself enjoy pressing the feet gently away from each other on the mat. And then see if you can float your left heel up just a little bit. Really coming into the quad and letting yourself keep pressing the feet gently away from each other. Lower that left heel down, and we're going to straighten that left knee out. Let the right heel descend directly back behind your right foot. Extend your torso out over that front leg and really get into the backs of the legs. Maybe say good morning to your right calf big time. And then we're going to bend that front knee again, come back into that lunge, and we're going to switch sides. So however you like to bring the right foot forward, establishing your lunge here, the length that you feel good to be. Start to press the feet gently away from each other like you're trying to lengthen your mat. Float your right heel up off the mat. Keep pressing the feet away from each other. Imagine that inner left thigh reaching up towards the ceiling and the inner right thigh dropping down towards the ground. And then lower the heel on down. And we're going to straighten the right knee out, shift the hips back, extend the torso out over that front leg. Again, let that left heel just go directly behind your foot. Try not to send it inward, in other words. Opening up through the backs of both legs. And we're going to bend the front knee and come on back into lunge here. And let's step forward, making our way into standing forward bend, feet hips distance apart and parallel. If you need support, use it. Elbows above the knees, hands on the blocks. Use whatever helps you to be comfortable in your back, and you know that. Just be mindful. Accept your full breaths easily. All the way in and all the way out. Let go through your jaw. So if you feel a little clenching going on, do what you need. You can always separate your teeth a little bit, even separate your lips a little bit. Sometimes that helps. And we're going to bring our hands to our hips, bend our knees, press into our feet equally as we rise on up to standing, and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts. So finding our mountain pose here, adjust as you need. You know that. Get your feet just where you're comfortable to be. Make sure you're pretty equal in your feet here. Letting your hands come together in front of your heart. And for a second, just separate your hands except for the tips of the fingers and the tips of your thumbs. So you're really, really lightly just touching barely the tips of the fingers and thumbs together. Bring your gaze on forward and out. Let yourself imagine you're standing out in an open, empty field, really. And become aware of the space around you as you're growing up from those rooted feet into your mountain pose. And then on your next exhale, go ahead and connect the hands. Reconnect, but very gently, the fingers, the palms. Feel your feet in the floor as you unfold your arms on down beside you. And press down into your feet as you inhale your arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bend your knees, come on forward into your standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you lengthen your spine out wherever you like to put your hands. We'll step the right foot back and come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into that downward facing dog pose. Spread the fingers wide, hug the elbows towards each other, glance at your hands, make sure you don't have one farther forward than the other or one more turned out, right? Parallel with the pointer fingers as best you can. And reach into that dog, equally through both sitting bones reaching back, and think of the back of your head being in line with your spine. We'll let our next inhale bring us out to planks. Nice strong plank. Engage the belly here. See if you can lift your right foot up off the floor a little bit. And then put it back down. And then do the same thing with your left. And then put it back down. And then bend your elbows a tiny little bit. I mean just a tiny little bit. Coming in towards each other. And then we're going to lower down. Now if you'd like to put your knees down first, you can. And have your elbows right by the ribs. And now keep your head down. Release your arms down alongside your body. Turn your palms down towards the floor. Let your fingertips be out on the floor a little bit away from your mat. And on your next inhale, float your head barely up. Barely clear your nose off the floor. And then add your legs. So you have your head up now and your legs up. And then float your hands up too. Little locust pose here. One more breath. And then bring everything back down. And we're going to slide our hands in by our chest now. Hug our elbows in. And on our inhale, lift up into a little cobra. And you're more than welcome to stay right here. Or you can press into your hands and keep going up higher if you choose to. Elbows hugging in towards the ribs. And then we'll release to come back down however high up we were. And we're going to make our way back into down dog. Whether you come through a half or a full push-up. Or just shift back to your hands and knees and back to dog is fine. And we will bring our right foot forward to come into lunge. So if you need to put your left knee down to get there, do. And then we'll come back into standing forward bend again. So let your knees bend. Actually, you might want blocks for this. We're going to bring our left foot more to the midline of our body and cross our right ankle in front of it. So the toes are still facing forward and the back foot is really fully on the floor. The right foot, you might be rolled a little more to the outside of that foot. And you know, this will really come into the back leg, all the way up into your outer hip and the outside of your leg. So if you need to bend your knees a little bit, do. Or again, if you need some height, use your blocks under your hands. So take your time and just release in your breath. Good. One more breath. And now we're going to uncross because we're going to do the other side. So again, right leg comes a little more to the midline so that it's easier to cross that left ankle in front. Again, toes are all facing forward. You're going to feel it more in that back leg. So, you know, if you need again to bend your knees a little bit or you need height with your hands, use it. And just enjoy feeling that release through the outside of that right leg all the way up into the glutes, really. And just breathe. One more breath. And then we're going to come up enough so we can uncross, get our feet right underneath us, hips distance apart and parallel. And see if you can lift your heels up. Shift onto the balls of the feet. Your heels are off the floor. And then bend your knees. Your heels are still up, but your knees are bent. So you're really coming into there, feeling that joint there on the floor. And then go ahead and release your heels down. Your knees are still bent. And then straighten your legs up just a little bit. Let yourself come on into hands to the hips. Bend the knees as you rise on up to standing. And we'll inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And we'll inhale our arms straight up. Now have your arms up overhead. You can do wider if you need to. But then bend both your elbows. So you might decide you want to hold your wrists. You may decide, it feels good to reach over and get my elbows. It may not feel that great, so don't do it if it doesn't. But just take your time and see if you can from here. Just lean a little to the left and kind of reach up into that right elbow a little bit. And then come on back up to the top and go the other way. So you're just reaching up into that left elbow a little more on your side waist. And then we'll come on back up again. Take one more breath here. And then release your arms back overhead into a wide V. Let your pinkies turn towards each other. Actually, let your arms come a little forward So it feels so easy to feel like your arms are growing out of your back as you look up a little bit. One more inhale. And as you exhale, bend the knees, come on forward into your standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that flat, long back, remember. And this time we'll step the left foot back to come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. Good. Let's come on out to plank again. Stay in plank just for a breath. And then we're going to go back to down dog. So see if you can keep your feet the same when you come from your dog out to your plank. So do it again. Come on out to plank. Let's do a little side plank. So you can either put your right knee down and do that variation like a kickstand, where you bring your left arm up, but you have some support there with your right knee, or you can do a full side plank. Totally up to you. One more breath. And then we're going to come back down, come back through your plank. Take your time, be in your plank for a breath. And then we'll go to the other side. So either just shifting on to the left hand and letting yourself do a full side plank, or putting your left knee down. You can always lift that top leg up if you want to a little bit. And then we'll come on back down, come back into our plank pose. And we're going to lower on down, knees first if you need, elbows right by the ribs. And we'll come into that cobra of choice, whether you stay low or you press into your hands and come up higher. Elbows hugging in, shoulders away from the ears. Just be mindful, try to lift your chin up so that you do that to the back of your neck and your throat, right? From here, we'll shift back towards pose of a child. So let yourself come on back into child's pose for a breath. Leave the arms soft overhead if you can. Full breaths into the low back. And then we'll come on back to all fours, and we're going to make our way back into downward facing dog pose. And bringing left foot forward from here. We'll come on into lunge. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend. Feet and hips distance apart and parallel. Be mindful, you can hold wherever you want. If you want to hold your elbows, if you want to hold behind your legs, just make sure you're not putting pressure in your back that feels not good. So keep the back long if you need, stay up as high as you need. Good. And then we'll bring our hands to our hips, bend our knees, press into our feet, coming on up and inhaling the arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's unfold our arms and clasp our hands behind us, and let yourself just stand here for a couple of three-part breaths. So you can check out your pelvis when your hands are right here. Make sure you're not tucking your tailbone forward. So feel that ease of the tailbone dropping down, open across your chest. And inhale into your belly, into the ribs. If you can, feel the chest rise a little bit into that third part. And then when you exhale, imagine the breath coming out of the chest, and then the ribs, and then the belly. And now we'll take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, bend our knees and come on forward. Now, you're more than welcome to let your hands come down, to stay long and parallel to the floor with your back. Or if you like to fold over your legs and release your arms off your back, you can do that. That's up to you and your shoulders. Up to you and your back too, of course. One more breath. And then release your arms on down. Let your inhale help you lengthen your spine. We'll step the right foot back and come into lunge as we move with our breath. Inhale. Exhale into your down dog. And let your inhale carry you to your plank, and let your exhale lower you down. And your inhale brings you into cobra. Exhale brings you back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale, right foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising all the way up to the top with your breath. And on the exhale, you're going to fold forward again. Let your inhale lengthen your spine. And exhale, left foot back this time to lunge. Inhale. Exhale into your down dog. Inhaling your way out to plank. Exhale lowers you. And your inhale brings you to your cobra of choice. Your exhale brings you back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale, left foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend your knees, rising all the way to the top with the breath. And let your exhale bring you forward. Inhale into that long back. We're going to come into down dog, however you want to get there. So make your way into your down dog. Take your time. Walk a little bit if you need. Bend your knees if you need to. Really just follow whatever your body wants you to do right now. Easy breaths. Good. And then from here, we're going to bring our left foot forward. We're coming up for warrior one. And we do want to have our blocks handy. So take your time as you come into your warrior one, getting that back foot set, bringing your shoulders around square, letting this back heel adjust to however feels comfortable, for you in your back knee and ankle, feeling open here across the front of your hip. Good, and then from here, bring your hands behind you. Go ahead and just interlace your fingers. Let your hands rest there. Feel that openness across the chest. And then we'll release to let the arms hang down. And we're going to inhale the arms all the way forward and up. Now you can widen them. You can keep the arms in closer to your ears and let your pinkies turn towards each other. Feel that lift at the base of your shoulder blades. Now feel energy all the way up through the fingertips if you can here. Feel that sense of rising up the front of the body and releasing down the back of the body. One more breath. Good, and then we're going to lower our arms on down, and we're going to turn to face the long right side of our mat. But we're going to get into turning our toes out a little bit for a goddess. So kind of adjust how far apart you think you want your feet. Get your knees starting to bend a little bit here. Feel your tailbone dropping down. Actually, put your hands on your thighs. Kind of lean forward at first. So you're kind of shifting, reaching back with your tailbone, and you're leaning forward. You're getting yourself to where you can look at your knees a little more safely and kind of tell that the knees are coming out over the center of your feet. If you have to adjust the angle of your feet, do. So that when you do start to rise up now, and your knees are still bent, bring your arms into goddess arms, bend the elbows to 90 degrees. Let yourself feel your legs there. And now the next time you inhale, straighten your legs and your arms and become like the letter X. So there you are. And then as you exhale, bend your knees, come back into your goddess. So again, inhale, let yourself come into that letter X. And exhale, bend the knees again, right out over the center of the toes, feet. And then one more time, inhaling. And as you exhale, come on down. Take your time. If you can go a little bit lower, do. And see if you can lift your right heel up off the floor. And then lower that heel down and see if you can lift your left heel off the floor. Good, and lower down. If you want to go for both, go for it. Go for broke. And then lower the heels on back down. Good. One more breath. We're going to rise on up. We're going to turn our toes forward so our feet are more parallel. And we're going to make our way into our wide-legged forward bend grab blocks if you like. You know that. So you can have your hands on blocks. You can have them on the floor. Go ahead and start to bend a knee at a time. Actually do this. Bend your left knee. And walk your hands over to the right, but not towards your right foot. Way out in front of your foot, right? Your left knee is bent, but you're walking your hands over towards the right. Your arms are long. And then you're going to walk back through center with the hands and bend the right knee and keep the hands walking over. So like way in front of your left foot. You're out with your torso long. Good. And then walk your hands back to center. Go ahead and wiggle around through your legs however you need to. Take your time. Adjust your feet if you want. And then see if you can release your elbows to right above your knees. Let the tips of your fingers touch and the tips of your thumbs and really lengthen through your spine here. So let it feel really good in this squat. Nice. And you can grab blocks to release into your pose however you want to stay. You can bring your hands between your feet if you're comfortable there. You know that. You can hold your ankles. You can bring your hands behind you, walking them back behind you, or use your blocks to support your forearms or your head. And then just be with your breath. Watching those nice, easy breaths all the way in and all the way out. And just focus for a few breaths on inhaling, thinking so, just the word S-O, so, and exhaling, hum, which is a nice resonance. When you exhale, thinking hum. So a few breaths, just keeping your focus on so, hum. Yourself now finish off by walking your hands forward and out a little bit so we can walk back over to that left foot. Make your way back to your lunge, and we'll come on back into downward facing dog pose. Walk to the tops of the feet a few times. If it helps you to press into the tops of your toes so you let your feet get a little stretch out there. And then, of course, you're on your own. If you like vinyasas or kriyas, you can come out to a plank, moving through to a back bend, or not, right? You can stay in dog. You can come out to plank and back to dog. You can put your knees down and rest. Just be mindful so that it feels good. You know, it's like your body is really waking up now. And then we'll finish off whatever we're doing. So if you're doing two sides, make sure you do the other side so you even yourself out. When you come back into down dog, it feels like, coming home to dog. And then from here, we'll bring our right foot forward. We're coming up for warrior one on this side. So again, get easy in how long your stance is, how wide your stance is, that alignment of that back foot. So you feel fine in your knee, and you feel that fineness all the way up into the front of your hip there. And then bring your hands behind you for a second. Let yourself just feel nice and open across your chest. So remember, in warrior one, there's a tilt in your pelvis. You're not trying to drop your tailbone down, right? Your tailbone reaches back, kind of on a diagonal line, but the belly is engaged. And then as you release your arms on down, we're going to inhale the arms forward and up. And again, you decide here, do you want to widen them out? Do you want them right over the shoulders, pinkies turn towards each other? Find that lift now at the front of the body. It doesn't mean it needs to look like a big lift. You may still be looking forward, but if you think about that lift through the front of the body, release down the back of the body, you just enjoy finding that balance in your warrior one. Balance right to left, balance front to back, even though you're very asymmetrical. One more breath. And then we're going to release our arms on down. Again, we're going to come towards a goddess pose as we turn to the left side of the mat. Again, let your toes face out a little bit. And now this time, see if you can just shift and don't bend really deeply and let one leg come totally straight, but you're just shifting your hips a little side to side. So you don't, put too much pressure on your knees, right? And then come on back into center again. We'll bring our arms on up and out. Bend your elbows to 90 degrees. Again, find your goddess arms. And now when you exhale, bring your arms towards each other in front of you. And your elbows and your hands come towards each other. They might even touch. And when you inhale, open them back wide again. So again, exhaling, bringing yourself into arms coming in. And exhaling and opening them back wide. And then one more time, exhaling as they come in towards each other and inhaling as they open wide. Good, nice alignment there. If you want to shift a little bit deeper, go for it. It's up to you. One more breath. And then we'll rise on up. We're going to turn our toes again more parallel, and we're going to come on forward again for this wide-legged forward bend. Now this time, once you get your hands down 2 blocks to the floor, let's walk on over towards the right. It doesn't matter how far you go. If you want to hold all the way on to the outside of your foot or ankle, do. And then bring your right hand on up to your right hip and See if you can just roll your shoulder up a little bit. You might even want to turn to look up towards the ceiling. And then we'll bring that right hand on back down. We're going to walk back through center and walk over towards the left. Again, how far you go, totally up to you. It can be just on your blocks. You can be in front of your foot. You can hold on to the outside of the ankle. Left hand comes up. And again, with that little of adding the shoulder upward a little bit, that little twist, totally optional. And then bring the hand on back down. Bring your hands on back to center. And bend the knee at a time. Take your time to adjust in your pose. If you need to make your stance a little bit different width too, go ahead. And then just set yourself up, right? If you can relax better by using block or blocks stacked underneath your forearms or maybe under your head, use them so that you're able to fully release in your upper body. You don't want to feel any kind of discomfort in your back. Obviously, you're going to be using your legs. You're going to feel the backs of your legs, your hips, your feet, but hopefully not in a tense way. And then really letting go in the upper body, whatever helps you. Whether you have a mantra you like, or the so hum, or just watching your breaths in and out. One more full deep breath. And we are going to walk ourselves on back out so we can walk back to that right foot. Come on, back into lunge. And back into our downward facing dog pose again. And again, walk if you need to. And coming out towards vinyasas or kriyas, totally optional. If you'd like to do some, you can. Remember, you can move whatever tempo you like to. Move really slowly, you can move quickly. Good. Just be aware of letting yourself kind of follow your body's lead, really. Good. And we are going to meet back in down dog again. Be with your breath. This time we'll bring our left foot forward. We're coming up for warrior 2 this time. So getting the adjustment that you need going here now with that back foot and letting yourself line up your heels. And let your arms float on out. Get that alignment of that front knee and bring your right arm under your left. Give yourself a good hug here or come into an eagle wrap if you choose. So letting your shoulders open up here, releasing the shoulders down away from the ears, feeling that openness between the shoulder blades on your back. Feel your feet on the floor. Good. We're going to unwind our arms and then float them all the way out from the shoulders, reaching out through the fingertips into our warrior 2 arms. And feel good about that, right? Arms are really strong, but that strength is coming from the muscles that wrap around underneath your arms. You don't feel tight. You don't feel like you're lifting the tops of the shoulders at all. Good. And we'll bring the right hand down, turn the left palm up, and inhale. Slide that right hand maybe a little further down your leg. Let it give you support as you come into your reverse warrior. Breathing into the left side. And on your next exhale, coming into your side angle. So you can either bring your hand or your forearm onto your thigh and allow that right arm to swing up into line. Turn the pinky finger down a little bit of that top hand so that you feel your shoulder releasing down away from your ear. Good. One more breath here. And now turn to look at the floor. We're going to bring our hands down and come into lunge. Add a little twist here at first, so you can decide if you want to keep your right hand grounded, left hand on up to the hip, reaching the arm up, or you can come across into your twisted prayer if you want to. Right elbow over to that left knee. Just let it feel good, opening up in your twist in your lunge here. One more breath. And then bring your hand on back down. Now from here, we're going to launch forward in towards a half moon. So you might want your blocks, and you might want them at the highest height. We're going to come on up into Warrior 3, opening into half moon really, so that you can shift your weight onto your left hand. The toes are now reaching away from the floor. You can decide if you want to balance with your right hand to your right hip, or stretch your right arm up, or not, right? If half moon doesn't feel great to you today to do a full balance, don't do it. You can always just come to the fingertips of that right hand, or maybe reach the right hand to the hip, not go with all the arm all the way up overhead. So kind of play with the variation you need. Feel that right heel coming right back directly behind you. Good. One more breath. And then let your hands come on back down and let the toes face down. We're going to step back into lunge from here. Once you get in your lunge, lower your back knee down and let yourself, you can use your blocks, shift your hips forward. If you really need a blanket underneath that back knee, use it. But press into the top of the right toes and let yourself enjoy feeling a release there in the front of that hip. It's worked pretty hard. You can lift up if you choose. You know, that's totally up to you. If you like to bring your hands up to your thigh, if you like to bring your hands into prayer hands or up overhead, you can. But if you want to stay forward, let it be a release, do. Good. And then we'll bring our hands back down. We'll lift that back knee up, and we're going to come on back into downward facing dog pose. And again, you're on your own. You can do what you like. You can move the way you'd like. You can put your knees down. Really be mindful so that you don't feel like you're pushing through too hard, but really want to move faster, go right ahead. Good. And we are going to finish off and meet back in down dog. So if you're finishing off both sides of something, take your time to get there. Good. Press back out of your hands equally. Feel your elbows hugging towards each other. And we are going to bring our right foot forward up into that Warrior 2 again. So again, you want your blocks handy. Line up those heels. Find that alignment of that front knee. Get easy in your length of your stance where you know you're going to be able to stay here for a little bit. Because as we float our arms up and we bring our left arm under our right to give a hug, we're coming either into that hug or into that eagle wrap. So if your legs are screaming at you, which sometimes that happens, I know. I mean, you can kind of straighten the front knee out a little bit if you have to. Feel the feet. Sometimes if you just press the feet away from each other like you're trying to make the mat longer with your feet, you feel the engagement more into your hips and less in your thighs there. Sometimes that helps. Just breathe. And then unwrap your arms, let them come on down beside you, and we'll float the arms on up and out. Again, that strength coming from underneath, softness at the tops of your shoulders, and just enjoy finding that powerful Warrior 2 as you look out beyond the wall, really, of the room. Let's put our left hand on our left leg, turn our right palm up, slide your left hand down, let it give you support as you come into that reverse warrior. Breathing into that side. Good. And on your exhale, coming into your side angle. So again, it can be your right hand or forearm on your thigh. Adding that left arm is totally optional. If your shoulder bothers you, keep your hand on your hip. Draw that outer right hip back a little bit. Knee is lined up. There's length through both sides of your body here. Beautiful. One more breath. Now turn to look at the floor. We're going to bring our hands down to find lunge because we're going to add that twist first, remember. So setting yourself up for whatever twist you like, whether you want to bring your left elbow across to your right knee, or just bring your right hand up to your low back, or stretch the arm up if you want to. So it's your twist of choice. Let it feel good. Reach into that inner heel. Reach out through the top of the head. Find that length, all you have in your spine there. And then we'll bring our hand on back down, or come on back down with both hands to lunge. Now, bring the blocks forward. We're going to shift on up to standing on our right leg. Flex your left foot. and then start to open up a little bit into that half moon. So it's like you're stacking your left hip a little on top of your right. Now don't overdo it. Don't think about the toes going up towards the ceiling. The toes of the left foot still face down a little bit. You can bring your left hand to your hip. You can come into that full balance if you choose. Or you can just stay right there with your hands down, opening the hip easily. Beautiful. Nice. One more breath. Now turn, look down, let your foot come on back down into lunge, so reaching your way back, and you might want to bring your blocks with you. And we'll lower that back knee down. And again, if you need a blanket underneath your knee, grab it and put it there. And just shift forward and press into the top of your toes, and that's a nice, huge release, whether you lift up or keep your hands down, right? I mean, if it feels good, sometimes it's like, oh, I just want to come up. It just feels even better. More release, and the higher you get up with your hands, right, the more intense it becomes. You can bring your arms up overhead if you choose, right? But just be mindful, let it feel good. And then we're going to release to bring our hands down. We're going to lift that back knee up, back to lunge, and back into our downward facing dog pose. And this is the last one that there is for vinyasas or kriyas. So move through however you want. Take your time. Let's finish off to meet back in down dog. And bring your feet wider on your mat. And as you walk your hands back, bend your knees. See if you can turn your heels inward, okay? So your feet are turned out. Now, you can put your elbows above your knees. You don't have to squat all the way down. But those of you who like to squat all the way down, can go ahead and squat all the way down to release your back and your hips. And if you have your hands in together in front of your heart, you can feel your legs pressing gently into your arms. Your arms are resisting a little bit. You can release in the low back. This is obviously not for everybody's hips and knees, so you be where you can. Stay up higher if you need. If anybody wants to play with a crow pose, you're right here. You can come on and practice a little bit if you want of lifting up and coming into a little arm balance. Not necessary at all. Deep into the wrist, remember, but if it feels like fun, play with that. Just make sure you don't nose plant.
Yeah.
Especially somebody I know. So take your time. No names mentioned. And from here, when you're ready, we're going to come down to our bellies on the floor. So you just come on down and let yourself release onto your belly. Make a little pillow with your hands. Rest your forehead, bend your knees. Actually let your knees widen out on your mat towards the outer edges of your mat, and let your feet come in towards each other. And you can just let the feet really just come into Baddha Konasana. If you want to widen your feet even more, your knees even more, so the feet come more, soles of the feet together, you can. And you can let the feet come down towards the ground if that helps release your hips. Don't force anything. Don't ever feel like that you want to press down, down, down. And if your feet are naturally kind of coming closer to the floor, if your hip, you're not trying to force your hip pointer bones down either. You're just letting the weight of your legs help the hips release. Good. And then come on back up with the feet. Bring the knees on back under you. Stretch your legs out long. And let's come onto our forearms with our elbows under our shoulders. Find a Sphinx pose at first. So only you know how your back feels. If you need to be lower, go lower. Let yourself be lower with the elbows down more towards your waist. You're still in a back bend. You're still using your back, right? So take your time. You can be here. If you feel better to clasp your hands to do a forearm, or a full forearm plank, then you can. Or you can stay with your hands apart, just like that. It's up to you. Bend your knees at first and come into that half one where you're on the flesh above your knees. And imagine you're pulling yourself, in which you really are. You're going to pull towards the front of the mat. So you pull yourself almost higher up above your knees. Keep flexing your feet. Feel how your belly just goes insane. And just enjoy, be there for a second. Feel that strength there in the core of the body. And then put, if you want, your toes down, lift up into your full forearm plank, pressing down into your forearms. One more breath. And then come down all the way. Release your arms down alongside you. And we're going to inhale into a locust pose. It doesn't have to be high. Reaching your fingertips and your toes back towards the wall behind you. Just be easy. Good. And then bring your left forearm parallel to the front edge of your mat. You can lower your head down if that feels better and bend your right knee for a half bow pose here. So you can stay with your head down. You can lift your head up if that feels okay, that bit of a back bend there. And if you want to, you can reach back with your right hand and get hold of the top of your right foot or your ankle. And you can press the foot into your hand. Really feel your quad, but focus on your shoulder here, right? Feels really good. Opening through across the right side of your chest. Now just for something a little different, come down with your right hand. Put your right forearm on the mat. Reach back with your left hand and see if you can get your right foot. All right, opposite. And then do the same thing. Kind of press that foot into your hand. And man, oh man, that's a very different feeling. So if it bothers your shoulder, don't do it. If you can't get the foot, don't worry about that. We're going to release back down from there. Lengthen both legs long. Rest your forehead there. Let yourself breathe into your low back. Good. And now we're going to bring our right forearm parallel to the front edge of the mat. Bend our left knee. Flex the left foot. If you can float your head up a little bit, do. And of course, getting that foot back there, left hand at first, getting the left foot or ankle. Go right ahead, press the foot into the hand. I mean, you can go up higher if you want. You can use your forearm to come closer under you and come up as high as you want. Enjoy feeling that engagement in the thigh. Think about how you're really strengthening all the muscles around your knees too. Good, now come on, and of course the shoulder. Come on back down. Now if you can, put your left forearm back down on the mat. Reach your right hand to get your left foot back there. Again, this is totally optional. If you're like, no way, that feels like the weirdest can be, don't do it. But if you want to, you can push that foot into your hand, and now you've got a little bit different feeling in your shoulder. We don't often do this one. In fact, I may not have done this for like years, but it feels pretty good. Different. We're going to come on down. Stretch your legs long for a second. Let your hips shift a little side to side, like just roll your bottom side to side a little bit. And then bend both your knees. You decide if you want to just draw your arms under you like this and do a little bow right here. You don't have to do anything more than that. Or if you want to reach back and get your feet for bow pose, you can press your feet into your hands and let yourself come up. Remember, that is totally optional. If you like to use your breath to rock a little bit, if you inhale into your belly and exhale, it moves you a little bit. If you're like, who wants to do that? Don't do it. And when you're ready, we're going to come down and we are going to shift back towards pose of a child. Now, if you can, though, instead of like relaxing into it yet, come onto your forearms and let your hips shift back so they're up in the air. So you're like, oh, hips are up, your knees are not as bent, you're releasing through your back that way. You're on your forearms, but it feels pretty good. Let your head release. And then think about how fun a dolphin would be from here after all this, right?
Oh, yes.
So if you clasp your hands, send your pinky finger out, and you want to lift up because it just feels like the biggest release ever after all that back bending, you can. And if you're like, are you kidding me? There is nothing that feels good about that. Do what you need to do, right? Do exactly what you need to do. So if you feel better to stay in child's pose, if you feel like you don't really want to be up on your forearms, you'd rather be on your hands and do a down dog.
obviously be mindful, let it feel good. Those of you who really like to play inversion, we're not using a wall today because I actually somehow totally miscounted, didn't I? You can still lift the leg up when you're up there. Play. Right? So if you're going to practice a little bit more, do. Otherwise, you rest however you need to, whether it's being in your child's pose, or maybe you feel better to bring your head up above your heart again and sit up. You know, so you can always sit on your feet or whatever feels good to let yourself release. Breathe. Nice. We are going to come on around towards sitting from however you are right now with our legs out in front of us. So take it easy, shake your legs out a little bit, move through your feet and your ankles. And let's stretch our left leg a little more towards the midline of our bodies, right? And bring our right leg over. Now, we're all different. If you can do half cow face and let yourself stack your knees, bring your thighs close together, do. If not, just do the figure four. Because you can do all that we're doing either way, right? And the figure four can be however you need it to be, down lower instead of up higher, whatever works. But we are going to come into coming forward with this leg long so we get a real nice length in the back of this bottom leg here. So letting yourself ease your way forward. We've been focusing a lot on the IT band and the outer leg, so we're going to stretch it out here. Once you come forward and you feel your heel on the floor, you feel how you're engaged in both the front and the back of that leg. Good. Now we're going to add the twist that particularly makes it feel great. Left hand comes to the outside of that, right hand comes to the outside of that long left leg somewhere. And then you're going to bring your left hand to your hip. So you guys will be twisting away from the way I am. And you can just let yourself press the leg or the foot, wherever you're touching it, into your hand a little bit. And really feel the outside of that long leg. Good. One more breath here. And then come on back into center. And we're going to rise on back up. And we're going to stretch the right leg long. Shake everything out a little bit. Bring the left one in. Again, you can do figure four. You can kind of bring the leg more to the midline so you cross over a little bit there. Depends on you. Feel the heel of the right leg, right foot in the floor. And as you come forward, think of coming forward from your low back. So you're easing your way. You might just want to keep your hand on your knee. You might feel really good to reach to your toe. That's totally up to you. Just enjoy coming into opening up in the hip, of course, the left hip, and of course that right leg, getting a lot going on there. Good. Now come up enough to let your left hand come on the outside of that right leg or foot, bringing your right hand on up to your right hip. And so pressing, you guys are going to twist the other way, pressing the foot into your hand, letting yourself really draw back with that right hip a little bit. It's a nice big stretch if you're forward a little bit and you're coming into the outside of your leg, all the way up into the outer hip. Beautiful. One more breath. And then slowly unwind and make your way back up to sitting and stretch your legs out, shake them out a little bit. Before you go down, get your straps. And we're going to come into, oh yeah, they're on that, yeah, they're all clean. Everyone on that's hanging on the edge of the bookshelf. How'd you miss out on that, Cynthia? You weren't one of the ones coming in late. So, we're gonna
balls of our feet and let our knees bend quite a bit. Let your low back go ahead and release into the floor so it feels good, right? And then just get to where you're comfortable, where you're holding your strap. Slip your left foot out of the strap, okay? And we're going to lower the left leg down slowly to the floor. So as you do, just take your time. Let yourself, once the leg gets all the way down, keep flexing the foot. And you can come into a straighter right leg. You don't want to feel like you're pulling that leg in towards you. Just let yourself find the weight of your arms. This is just a release. We're not going to hold these a long time. We're going to let it feel really good. Bring your strap into both ends into your right hand and let the leg open out to the right just to enjoy releasing into your hip a little more. And then come back to the top, switch hands, let your left hand hold the straps, reach your right arm out. And now that twist is up to you. You might want to go just a little ways. After that sitting twist we just did, you might feel like, oh my gosh, I just want to go all the way over with my foot. But don't force it, let it feel really good. Think about just feeling very open and easy in your hips, the outside of your legs. We're going to come back up to the top, and then we're going to put our left foot up there, and we're going to let the right foot come out so we can lower the right leg down. Long, all the way down to the floor. Keep your belly going. Feel how your back changes so the low back comes to end up into that natural curve there. And again, just hold for a second here. Press into the strap with the ball of your foot. Don't pull. Just let the leg open naturally up from the weight of your arms. And then let your left hand hold both ends of the strap, and you're going to reach the leg over to the left a little more. How far you go is up to you. Press gently into the strap with the ball of your foot. Nice, and then come back up to the top again. Remember, this is feeling like a release. Right hand gets over to hold the straps. Left arm comes out beside you. And again, you may just want to go a little ways, or it might feel great to just go and go and go with that leg over. Of course, you might even want to look to your left. Nice. And now we're going to come on back up to the top. Put both your feet back on up there in that strap. And go ahead and come into a little wide angle now. Now, it doesn't matter how far apart your feet go. You can go a little bit. You can go all the way if you want to the ends of your, holding on to the ends of your strap so your feet go as wide as possible, right? But just play. You can press, if you want, press into the strap with the balls of your feet. And imagine you're trying to pull the strap towards you, but send your tailbone down. And that's a little bit more. If you just find a little bit more there by reaching downward with your tailbone, but pulling the strap towards you. And when you're ready to let that strap come on off, be real careful, don't let the metal part bang you in the head, and go ahead and bring your knees in. Do what feels good, man, whether it's a happy baby or maybe you prefer to put your feet on the floor and move your knees side to side. There is any number of things that might come into your body to want to do right now. It can be any movement, any yoga pose you want to do, any kind of just a stretch or a release. Take your time. Just enjoy feeling how your body feels, and then really accepting what it needs to do right now. And if you just take a little time, it won't take long for your body to tell you, well, I need to do this or I need to do that. Or all I want to do is get ready for Shavasana. arms, and legs, so that really tells me.
Thanks.
You're welcome. So remember, if you lie down and you feel discomfort, sometimes just a little bit of support can help. But also, you want to be comfortable for Shavasana. So if it sounds like a good idea to lie on your side instead of your back because you have something going on that's what you need, do it. Right? You really want to pay attention to letting your body do what it needs to do so that you're comfortable. And if, again, a blanket sounds good or a bolster, just wave at me. Appreciate the ground underneath you now supporting you. And see if you can just let yourself enjoy just being with your breath. Like your breath just brings you comfort. It does, and peace and quiet. So as you accept your breaths in and out, body starts to quiet down, and you just keep refocusing on your breath every time your mind wanders off. And give yourself the gift of these few minutes and allow yourself to completely and fully relax.
gravity holding you there as your breaths kind of naturally want to start to lengthen and deepen. Refreshing you now so that you feel like moving again, your fingers and your toes and your hands, your feet. You may decide you need to stretch everything out. You may want to bring your knees up and in. You might want to roll to either your right or your left side. Know that you want to come back into feeling very comfortable about what you're doing and how you're moving, so take your time. Stay on your back if that's better for you. Roll to one side if that feels good, into a fetal position. But just take all the time you need so that you can appreciate how you feel when you do start moving again. And take your time to come to sitting comfortably so that it feels like the next natural thing to do, to be up again, to get your head above your heart and let your hips be comfortable in the way you're sitting, and ease your way up onto blankets or a bolster or whatever you need if that feels better for you. But let your eyes be closed if you're up to sitting and you open them. Just let them lightly close again and see if you can enjoy coming back to watching your breath as you lengthen up, so you have lots of room to breathe. You can feel all the space we created through our poses. And on your next exhale, let your hands come gently to meet there in front of your heart. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste. Happy Tuesday. Almost the end of the month.